Hello, welcome again to FAIRtax Power Radio. I'm Bob Paxton.
And I'm Ron Molero.
And we are the FAIRtax Guys, and we're still on Christmas vacation, even though Christmas was last week. Yep. I guess this is New Year's vacation this week.
Yes, yes. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, we still have the Christmas tree in the background, which is pretty well, but as always. We're continuing with our best of FAIRtax Power Radio as we take a break and spend some time with our family. And I'll tell you what, if we had to go back into the archives and pick out the very best of FAIRtax Power Radio, I think this episode is it.
Yeah, well, yes. Yeah, I have to agree. This we're going to replay our live program from WTOB.
Yes, this was getting on those terrestrial radio stations. That actually happened around the first of the year. And so we gave it like 6 months for the program to find some audience, and we went up there in the middle of July. In fact, it was the 4th of July weekend. The 5th, I think, was the actual day.
Yes.
That we were there live in the studio at WTOB and taking some live phone calls. Now, we did have to edit this down a little bit. You may notice some edits as we go through here because we had to make room for us to skid up here on the front and talk to you a little bit.
Yeah, because we got long-winded while we were up in Winston-Salem. we went too long for this program. So, yeah, it's edited out a bit, but I think you'll enjoy it. It was a very important event for us, as you'll see when you listen to our friend Bob Scarborough about what's going on and what he's doing for us.
Yeah, so, and it was, since that episode was recorded, in fact, I remember right, he announced on that episode the addition of the Statesville and the Laura, South Carolina stations.
Yes, he did.
And as of the end of the year, here at the end of 2020, WTOB, WAME, and WLSC are the only radio stations that are currently carrying FAIRtax Power Radio. But Bob Scarborough continues to work behind the scenes. It's amazing how much work goes behind the scenes, and nothing's really happening. They think nobody's doing anything. But he is indeed working hard to get FAIRtax Power Radio on some more radio stations. He's talking to a group of not quite 2,000 stations. Independently owned. We're not going to mess with these corporate giants. We're going to go after the independently owned stations.
I am so excited about that. I didn't even want to mention the number.
Well,
it's just,
I don't think it's realistic to expect that we'll get on all 1,800 or however many he's talking about, but I imagine we'll get a few.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Again, we wanted to document the what has to date been the most monumentous occasion in the whole history of FAIRtax Power Radio, expanding to terrestrial radio. And again, our profuse thanks to Bob Scarborough for making this happen. And I say this was just fun up there in the WTOB studios, and hopefully we'll do it again this upcoming year in 2021.
Yep.
All right. So without further ado, roll it. And if you're watching this on video, you will see that we are not in our normal studio.
We're not?
No, we are at WTOB in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And as usual, radio studios are not set up to do video. So we've kind of got some funny angles in here, but we've got some fun time. Again, if you're watching this on video or listening to one of the regular audio podcasts, you will notice that what you're seeing and hearing was recorded a few days earlier. However, if you are listening on WTOB right now, Sunday morning, July 5th, we are live.
Yeah.
Ron and I are here live. We're sitting here anxiously. We had some issues with the phone. I think Bob finally got them straightened up. So in a few minutes, we'll be opening up the phone lines. Hopefully, we'll be talking to some people and taking some phone calls. But Ron,
if I'm not mistaken, Winston-Salem is kind of special for you.
Yeah, Winston-Salem is where I grew up, and this is the radio station I grew up listening to. And I always wanted to be one of their good guys. That's the collective name they applied to their air staff. And they never would hire this little starry-eyed high school kid who thought he was really good at what he was doing. Knew absolutely nothing about broadcasting at the time, but I did get into it later. And actually, I'm going to be on the air tomorrow. So that's going to be fun. But we've got a friend here that has helped us a lot. Go ahead and introduce him if you would.
Bob Scarborough contacted us several months ago, and we've mentioned about this, about putting our show on the air. Well, we've gotten those invitations before, but it was usually a station fishing for air fees. Bob said no. He says, I like the FAIRtax, and we're going to put it on the air one way or another. And Bob is running the board right now. Bob, thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
We can't thank you enough. And in fact, you've got an announcement, don't you?
Well, we've been working through the pandemic on because we contacted you and Bob, before
all that started,
all the cascading health issues around the world.
Right.
And our proposal was to build a network around FAIRtax Power Radio.
Wow.
And so in the midst of the pandemic, we've been able to assemble a strategy to do that. And we have the announcement today that we are adding 2 radio stations, one in North Carolina and one in South Carolina.
Wow.
And they actually started the airing today.
This morning.
WAME in Statesville is running the program at 7 a.m. It's already aired.
So theirs is already aired, yes.
And WLSC in Loris, South Carolina, which will air the program this morning at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock Eastern.
All right, so now we have an official FAIRtax Power Radio Network.
All 3 stations.
And hopefully there will be more as we continue forward.
Let me tell you how easy this is to sell to broadcasters, because they're typically in the smaller radio operations entrepreneurs, and they understand, you know, the heavy-handedness of the U.S. Treasury Department through the Internal Revenue Service.
Oh, yeah.
And so here we are with a no-brainer as far as getting the word out, and they're excited. The folks that are involved at the stations that we're talking to, especially the 2 that are already on, are very excited about this.
That is really good news, and we can't thank you enough, because Bob and I have been doing this for 5 years. This was Bob's brainchild, and he invited me to join him. And I said, sure, if you don't mind a retired high school teacher doing radio. I mean, I know how to listen to radio, but, you know, we've been doing it for 5 years, and this is the break we really been looking for. And we're going to try our best to make this a real network, because this has to happen. The FAIRtax has to happen. I mean, the income tax, the IRS are out of control. And especially the people in business understand that.
It's absolutely insane. And the other thing I wanted to add, too, before we get on with the meat of the program, you all present a program that is entertaining and informative. And again, it's a no-brainer for me to be able to come in and do what we're doing, because you all create a quality product.
All right.
Thank you.
We sure appreciate that.
Yeah, we sure do.
And as we mentioned, I think we have our phone difficulties rectified. So if you'd like to be on the program, if you're listening on WTOB on Sunday morning, July 5th, if you're watching a video or a podcast, sorry, it's too late. What you're watching happened a couple of days ago. But area 336-761-1380. That's 336-761-1380. The old frequency, WTOB, was on 1380 for decades and decades. Since the 40s when they first came on, and then they moved down the dial to 980 here not long ago. But if you got a question or a comment about the FAIRtax, 336-761-1380. But until and unless we get some, we have got quite a good. Oh, you have
got a grassroots corner.
You got your grassroots corner. This is the guy about muscle cars, right?
Yes,
I'm kind of a muscle car enthusiast.
Our grassroots corner. We generally do one of these each episode. This is by Jim Bennett, who is a director with the Americans for Fair Taxation, and he's their grassroots coordinator or director. And his email address is jim.bennett@fairtax.org. Bennett has 2 N's and 2 T's. Meet FAIRtax activist James Oliver. Now, I'm going to make this as short as possible. Muscle cars or FAIRtax? Well, Florida FAIRtax activist James Oliver makes time for both. The initial lead to James came from Adam Yomtov. Where have we heard that name before? Of New York. Adam is a very active volunteer of New York. Adam ended up talking to James, and then Adam passed James' information on to the marketing and communications director, Randy Fisher, who lives in Ocala near Bob and I. Okay. And then he passed it to Paul Livingston, who is now, as of 5 days ago, the president of the Florida FAIRtax Educational Association. And it seems that James and Paul live in the same area, so Paul and James talked a lot, I mean, for like a couple hours and so forth, about the FAIRtax, about muscle cars, and about the fact that James likes to rebuild these things. As an avid FAIRtax supporter for over 15 years, Paul gave him hat, yard signs, palm cards, prepaid cards, bumper stickers, the new bumper sticker, and so forth. Paul reports that James is now loaded up with all kinds of FAIRtax paraphernalia and is willing to go to work. This is how it works, folks. All right. You get a connection. You have an active volunteer who finds somebody, makes a connection with somebody, and then they pass on that information to the right people. And so when a strong supporter is met with one of the leaders who is able to supply him with the materials, now we've got potentially a new leader.
Here we go. I tell you what, that's interesting, because I had me what I think is the ultimate muscle car. I had a Plymouth Superbird, which was the road runner with the big nose and the big wing on the back of it that brought Richard Petty back. He drove for Ford in 1969 in NASCAR, and they built this car in 1970 and brought him back into the Chrysler fold.
Wow.
And I had one of those things that I fixed up to look like Petty's race car. So what we need to do is get this guy to build us a muscle car of some kind, because those things really command attention as they go down the wall. And you can do, these computer generated wraps. Now we ought to wrap and make us a FAIRtax muscle race car.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That would be a good idea if we can figure out how to do that.
That is a good idea. Yep.
In the meantime, again, 336-761-1380 is our phone number if you'd like to talk to the program live on WTOB. And of course, if you're not in the listening area, they are streaming on the internet. You can get them in several different places. But this is the 4th of July weekend.
Yep.
So we've got to declare. Oh, we have a phone call now.
Yes, we do. There's someone on the line here. Hold on just a second.
Let's see if we can punch the right buttons up here and get them on the air.
You're on the FAIRtax Power Radio Show on WTOB. Hello.
Hello, this is Dave from Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Oh,
hi, Dave.
And well, Randy Fisher asked me to call into the show and supply a northern version of the FAIRtax to you southern guys.
Okay, have at it.
Okay, well, I thought I would be talking to some of the guys there. But anyway, I just wanted to congratulate you all on the inaugural show there on WTOB.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. We're very excited.
All right.
And so I'm available for questions and answers. Minnesota actually hasn't covered itself in glory in the last few news cycles here.
Yeah, well, they can make atonement for that by passing the FAIRtax.
There you go.
Dave, you're on Facebook, correct?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook a lot. Yeah, okay. I run several pages.
Why don't you let people know how to contact you on Facebook? Because I'm sure a lot of our listeners and viewers are also on Facebook, and they'll be able to contact you.
Okay. So my flagship page is Big Solution.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you just put that in the Facebook questionnaire bar, and it'll come up.
All right.
What you'll see is a great big stop sign that says "Stop Taxing Income."
Oh, yeah.
And that's me.
Excellent idea.
I have seen that. Yeah.
All righty. Well, appreciate your call this morning, and keep on plugging.
Yeah, we'll do that. Stay FAIRtax tough.
Thank you. Appreciate it
very much.
Again, 336-761-1380, the phone number here on Sunday morning, July 5th. But in the meantime, they say this is the 4th of July weekend. The holiday was actually yesterday.
Yep.
And there are so many things that the FAIRtax would let you declare your independence from.
Absolutely.
I have a whole long list here, but I like number 5 best.
Yeah.
Declare your independence from withholding taxes.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it is insane that people let the government grab a big chunk of their paycheck right off the top before you even see it. And if you think about that, what the government is saying when they do that is, I am your highest spending priority. You will pay me before you spend a dime on food for your family, on milk for the baby, on anything that you might need. You're going to take care of me before you take care of your family. That is just philosophically wrong, and the FAIRtax fixes that.
That absolutely does, because the FAIRtax eliminates the income tax, and therefore there will be no need for withholding. Okay.
Now, if the income tax goes away, does that mean I got to throw my cube away? This is my 11 by 11. If you're watching on video, you can see this is my 11 by 11 Rubik's Cube that is all scrambled up. If you're on the radio, sorry, you'll have to go get the video to check this out. But we have our little visual props as to the income tax versus the flat tax versus the fair tax, which is my little 2x2 cube there. And that works. But I tell you what, I would love to bring home everything you earn. I mean, how crazy is that the government takes a big chunk of it before you get it?
It's crazy.
That is insane. Well, what else can we declare independence from if we can get rid of the income tax and pass the fair tax?
Declare independence from the IRS. I mean, it's the most universally hated agency, and that's not because they're doing nice things. All right. Yeah. The IRS runs roughshod over the American citizen.
But Ron, if you listen to people, well, all we need is a flat tax to get rid of the IRS.
Oh, yeah, right. Sure. Yeah. A flat tax. Let's see. That's still a tax on income, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And how long will it stay flat?
Probably about as long as it takes the ink to dry on the
that's about it. Yeah. So, in fact, you know, I have, we've had this on other shows. You brought
your protest sign.
All right. And the reason? All right. Yeah, the producer's back there trying to take pictures, so I got to coordinate
the IRS.
Yeah, and there's a good reason.
Because taxpayers matter.
Absolutely.
Absolutely is right.
Okay. Right.
And if the IRS goes away, audits go away too.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
because we know some folks that can tell you horror stories about what the IRS could do with an audit.
And the thing is, they go after unsuspecting, perfectly legal taxpayers. And we've noted this before in FAIRtax Power Radio. When it comes to civil asset forfeiture, they go after people that they know can't defend themselves or don't have the funds to defend themselves. All right. Instead of going after the criminals where that was started.
336-761-1380 here on Sunday morning, July 5th. And we will continue to declare our independence from the income tax if we can just get the Congress critters to pass the fair tax. And,
we can declare. We can declare our independence from Form W2, W4, Form 1040, Schedules A, B, C, and D, 2106, 706, 843, 851, 911, 1041, 1045, and etc.
And that's just getting started good on how many different forms there are. Oh, phones are jumping this morning. That's good. We got another call.
This is from Form 1380.
Form 980 now, right?
Right, Form 980. You're on the FAIRtax Power Radio Show on WTOB. Good morning. Who is this?
Hello.
Hi, this is Jim from New Jersey.
Oh, hey, Jim. We were just talking about you.
Yep.
I was wondering if you should tell the people about, we in New Jersey are very concerned about taxes being fair. And a lot of people here think that if you have progressive graduated income tax, that makes the wealthy people pay their fair share. Now, the fair tax being a sales tax, isn't that regressive? And doesn't that hurt the single mom on food stamps a lot more than it would hurt normal people?
Let me, before you go into the fair tax, let me address the graduated income tax. Yeah, right now we have a federal graduated income tax. So the more you make, the higher your rate is. But what else do we have? What else do we have? We have
loopholes and deductions.
Yeah, exactly.
70,000 pages worth of them.
So that if your tax rate is 35.9 or 39, whatever it is, you never pay that much because you take advantage of the legal loopholes. And that's the problem with the graduated income tax. The lobbyists go to work and they get all kinds of deductions. Now, with the fair tax, is the fair tax regressive?
Absolutely not, because the fair tax does not tax spending up to the poverty level. So if you don't have much to spend, you will not take a dime out of your own pocket to pay the fair tax. You will get it collected at the cash register, but it will be reimbursed to you on a monthly basis. And a family of four, two kids and two parents, $661 a month they will get back. Plus, with a fair tax, as we mentioned earlier, you're bringing home your entire paycheck. No federal withholding, no more payroll taxes. You have a lot more money in your pocket with a fair tax, and the fair tax will be a boon food to people that are on the lower end of the socioeconomic scale.
Absolutely. All right. So the FAIRtax.
I hope we filled you with smart pills this morning, Jim, and you know a little more than you did before.
Well, thanks a lot.
All right.
The question.
All right.
Jim, thanks so much.
Okay, I think that's it. So, again, we got to, let's see, a little under 10 minutes to go. If you want to get in on the show, 336-761-1380.
I'm glad you started your timer because I forgot again.
I always have my timer. Ooh, we got another phone call. Who we got here?
WTOB FAIRtax Power Radio. You're on the air. Who is this?
Hey, good morning, Bob. It's Adam from New York.
Greetings.
I think I know Adam.
Adam's from New York. So, what you up to this morning?
Am I on right now?
You are on right now.
Yes,
the entire world is hearing you.
Yep.
Oh, fantastic. Good morning, FAIRtax Guys. So happy to be hearing you live in North Carolina. I'm curious for all of us out there that want to become involved. Where do we go? Do we go to the website? And then how do I receive emails? I want to get updates and understand what it is that you guys are setting out so I could become involved. How do I do that?
All right. Fairtax.org is the kind of the home base on the web. You get all kinds of things, the educational resources there, white papers you can read about, how does it work, some whiteboard animations. And then if you want to get involved, there's a link up there for that as well.
And you can always send us an email address. Our email address is thefairtaxguys@gmail.com. Don't hesitate to send it to us because we check it daily.
Yeah, and there is a list of FAIRtax volunteers at fairtax.org by state. So if you want to go up there and see who in your state is a FAIRtax volunteer, and they have their contact information there as well, that you can always volunteer in your state. And if there's nobody there in your state that has that's listed there, and you want to start something in your state, we've got lots of resources down here in Florida. We'll be glad to help you if you'll send us, as Ron said, thefairtaxguys@gmail.com or our Facebook page. We'll get you all the help you need.
And keep in mind that the entire FAIRtax organization, national and state and local, are all volunteers. There are no paid positions in this organization. And it's because we're all passionate about bringing some sanity to our tax system. Okay, so we appreciate your help. Adam, thanks for the idea because it is very important that we get more volunteers.
Does that answer your question?
Yes. I believe that there's the form on the home page just when you scroll down a little. That's where you could input. I'm looking right now, as you guys just told me to go to fairtax.org, and there's a form on the home page. When you just scroll down the page a little, it says get updates, and you input your information there, and you start receiving the updates. That's great.
And
Thank you so much, and congratulations for broadcasting live once again.
Understand, they're not going to sell your email address to somebody, so you're not going to get a lot of spam if you sign up there.
Yep.
All right. You have yourself a great day. Thank you for calling.
Thanks, Adam.
Likewise. Thank you. God bless.
Bye-bye.
All right. This was worth the trip up from Florida to do this.
Absolutely.
Absolutely it is. Bob, thank you again so much for the invitation to come up here and do this.
This is historic.
It is. It's historic. We'll keep this video on the archive forever. And at FAIRtaxGuys.com is our video repository. See, the phone's ringing. We might have time to sneak one more call
Absolutely.
in here.
FAIRtax Power Radio on WTOB. Good morning. Who is this?
This is Laura Mchugh. I'm the FAIRtax State Director in North Carolina.
Oh, glad to talk to you.
Hey, Laura.
I'm glad to be listening to you guys. Thank you for coming to North Carolina to broadcast live.
Oh, I grew up here.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we're glad to have you back. The reason I called is in all my time of being associated with the FAIRtax, I've attended a lot of events where people will come up to me and say, why would I want to support something that hurts the poor people?
Yeah.
They don't understand the prebate.
They don't. And talk a little bit about the payroll tax. Who pays the payroll tax?
Oh, The payroll tax is the most regressive tax we have. You talk about hurting the poor, the people who can least afford it. The payroll tax is regressive because it's a flat rate no matter how much or how little you make. So the people that most need the help, the people that are earning the least, are getting whacked the most because the payroll tax is big. So the payroll tax really is the regressive tax.
Yeah, and right now, the only people that are supporting Social Security and Medicare are those who are working for a paycheck.
Yeah.
If you're making your money off investments, if you're making your money off stocks and things like that, you're not helping the system at all.
Yeah.
And we are just about out of time here, so we got to thank you so much for your call this morning. Hey, there we go. That was a fun memory to relive.
Oh, it was. It was definitely worth the trip to Winston-Salem. And especially for Bob, as you heard in the video, that's his hometown. That's the station he grew up listening to. So for my buddy Bob here, Bob Paxton, right, this was a monumental and it's just kind of words escape me here, but
I can tell. But of course, it wasn't documented in the FTPR episode, but I got to be on the air at WTOB the next day. That was always
something he always wanted to do.
I had always wanted to do.
So
and again, we can't thank Bob Scarborough enough for what he's done, putting us on his radio station, getting us on the 2 other radio stations we're on now, and continuing to try to expand the FAIRtax Power Radio Network to even more and more radio stations. And hopefully
in 2021
we'll have some neat announcements as far as that goes. And hopefully back in 2021, maybe we can go back up there in July.
Yeah.
Or go around the 4th of July again and do that all over again.
I'm all for it.
Now, I'll tell you, one thing especially that came out of that program was I really did not know who Laura Mchugh was before she called in there at the end of the show. She's the state director in North Carolina. We have since become Facebook friends. We post on each other's things a whole lot now.
There you go. That's great.
But we finally we met Laura.
Since you're both from North Carolina.
Yeah, well, she's from the mountains up in western North Carolina, and I'm Winston-Salem is considered the Piedmont, which is kind of French for the foothills or something.
Okay.
So so we're not that far apart, or weren't that far apart, but hopefully she can come down and join us if we end up going back there next July.
That would be a good idea.
That would
be a very good idea. Except that studio is pretty small.
It is. That means you'll just have to go sit in the corner.
And leave it to the professionals.
Indeed. Well, we've actually got a couple of minutes to encourage people to what they can do to help get the FAIRtax underway. It may be a little bit tougher in these coming administrations, but we're not going to quit. We're going to keep at it.
First and foremost, join AFFT, which doesn't cost anything if you don't want it to, okay? AFFT, the Americans for Fair Taxation, you go to their website, fairtax.org, you sign up, you can contribute, we really appreciate it because it's a national organization and they do have expenses, but if you can't afford it, fine, just sign up with your contact information, you won't get spam, but you will get updates such as the Grassroots Corner, the Chairman's Report, and a preview.
Your time's up.
Okay.
I wish everybody Happy New Year, and we'll see you live again on the FAIRtax Power Radio next week. Until then, I'm Bob Paxton.
And I'm Ron Malero.
The FAIRtax Guys reminding you that the FAIRtax is the only truly fair tax, and once you understand it,
you'll demand it.
Happy New Year.
Yep.
So what do you need from me to get these taxes collected?
Glad you asked, because there is a fair amount of information you need to be aware of.
That's your tax plan?
Oh, no, this is just the revisions for this year's tax plan. What I need from you is you need to keep track of all of your income, as well as any taxes that you've already paid, also any gifts that you received or gifts you've given to churches or charities or individuals throughout the entire year. Do you do any side jobs?
Every now and again.
Great, because there's some more information about that right here. Everything you need to know right here. So just simply compile that, send it in to us. Be careful, make sure there's no mistakes. If we do find mistakes were made, we can fine you or, throw you in jail. So you might want to be aware of that.
And what do you need from me?
As an individual, nothing. As a business owner, or if you're doing side jobs, yes, you would have to collect taxes on that, but, it's all right here.
Can I get a copy of that?